You're very welcome back to the show now. Following the birth of her second child, my next guest had a near-death experience. Her whole life flashed before her eyes. After 26 minutes, her heart started beating again when she was literally shocked back to life. Now, this entire experience changed her outlook. She decided to no longer be invisible, instead to be seen and heard. Now, she's recently penned her own experience in a self-help book, and she joins me now to share her story. Karen O'Donnell, you're very welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. I hear these things about near-death experiences all the time, because people, they're going into the light and all this stuff, but you...
I didn't see the light.
You didn't see the light, but your whole life literally did flash before your eyes. Tell me the build-up to this event.
Well, I had my second child, Callum, in the Coombe, and I was moved into the recovery room. My husband and baby was there. Other mothers.
C-section.
C-section. It was C-section. And I turned to Fran and said, "Mind the baby." I vomited, gasped, and I stopped breathing. And he, hit the buttons, and then I could see this happening. The doctors, the nurses came in, the other mothers were moved out, and they got the defibrillator, tried to shock me back to life. And they did that 3 times. Dr. Froese did it 3 times over the 26 minutes.
They were doing compressions and
compressions, and one poor little doctor was trying to squeeze air into my lungs. And I could see this happening, and I was quite calm about it, from where it was almost like I was there, but I wasn't there.
It was an out-of-body experience.
Yeah. But at the same time, my life literally flashed before my eyes, Elaine. It was scenes from my childhood. It was scenes from my teenage years. But the theme was the same, and this is what not intrigued me, but definitely got my attention. And it was a theme that I was invisible. When I was very young, I remember hiding in the wardrobe, hiding behind the clothes.
Why?
Because my father was drunk and was trying to find me. I was the youngest in the family, so the rest would be gone out. And I perhaps was cheeky to him earlier that day. He'd have a belly full of brandy, and then he'd come to hunt me down. So
to attack?
To beat me up.
To beat?
Yeah.
What age would you have been?
Probably 4 or 5.
Oh my goodness.
So I learned to hide, and I learned that if you were, if you hid in plain sight, you didn't get into trouble. And so that was a theme or a belief that I ran through my life. And it was a protective mechanism. It was a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And as I said, and even in school, I wasn't quite in my life, in the centre. Like, as I saw these scenes flash by me, I was on the periphery.
Yeah.
I was the quiet one. I was the friend you could always go to talk to, because I'd always listen. I was quite good at listening.
You took a step back from everyone and just observed.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going to get found, and you weren't going to get into trouble, or you weren't going to get hurt.
And that's, people say, "Oh, isn't Karen great? Oh, Karen's the quiet one. She's no trouble." So that sort of almost verifies, yes, I need to be quiet. I need to be in the background. I just need to be here.
What was it about what happened to you? And I suppose, did it immediately come to you after your basically your heart had stopped? You were dead for 26 minutes, and to a lot of effects. Did you wake up immediately going, wow? Was it like that cathartic and that quick, like a flash of light? Well,
I remember seeing, if you were there, you would have seen the nurse. First of all, the doctor sort of got the whole staff to discontinue their efforts.
They had stopped, even working on you?
Yeah, they'd stopped at this stage. And I could see the nurse approach Fran, put her hand on his shoulder and say...
Your husband?
Yeah, she's gone. And it was like, in that instant, when I could see Fran and my baby, I had a choice to make.
Yeah.
And this little voice said, "Be seen, be heard." And in that second, I made the decision, I need to come back. Because literally, a belief of mine almost consumed me, of me dying there, being completely invisible. And that second, I had to make the decision. And so I came back, and the heart monitor beeped back into action, and there was all the flurry of activity then.
So when this happened, you actually hadn't been shocked again. You were literally, they said, it's too late, she's gone.
Yeah.
And in some way, your brain was functioning. And then, because they say the brain can stay alive after the oxygen and the breathing has stopped, but in some way you kind of went back into your body, is that?
Yeah, it was literally when I saw Fran and the nurse saying she's gone, it was that second, I need to come back. And then there was the whole commotion over being back.
And through all of this time, which 1 minute can seem like a lifetime sometimes, for that 26 minutes, you were aware and conscious of something happening to you, but not actively participating in it.
That's exactly what it was like. That was exactly what it was like. I was watching as an observer.
And how soon after that were you able to speak?
That's not so much the funny thing, but because then they put me into like an almost induced coma to allow the brain to recover. And the doctor said to my husband Fran, "This isn't looking good for her." and I moved to James's.
Because there's a huge risk of brain damage as well with oxygen starvation to the brain, yeah.
So I had stroke-like symptoms.
Yeah.
And one of the symptoms is you can't talk properly. Right? So I thought, and now I was completely gagas. I was making no sense. I thought I was making sense, no sense. And the nurses would ask me things and I'd answer, but all I was coming out was complete gibberish.
But you thought in your head you were speaking, enunciating properly, but it's like a baby speaking maybe. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
There's a term on it, I can't quite remember the name. But they couldn't understand me, but I had this little voice saying, be seen, be heard. So I was really, I mean, I tried to get out of bed after, I left the hospital after 4 days.
Yeah.
But I tried to get out of bed after the first day. I had no recollection of having the baby because they gave me so many drugs.
Wow.
And they had to keep telling me, stay in bed, stay in bed. And the 4th day I was out of there. But 2 days it took me to start getting my voice back and speaking to them.
So it's almost like this experience took off the wax seal on your life and you could be who you always wanted to be. So what was your next step?
Well, I had started looking at personal growth coaching. I had done some courses in it. I knew about limiting beliefs. Yet here I was, you know, running one. So I needed to look at that, and I did a lot of research on limiting beliefs and forgiveness and all that.
Yeah.
And that brought me into the path of being more of a personal growth coach.
Tell me what your innerGPS is.
Okay.
I like this term GPS, and fellas as well, it makes some sense to you because I know sometimes you're not good at talking about these things. So if you can think something as simple in an analogy like a GPS, we can all understand what you're talking about here.
I think we all have a roadmap that we get when we're kids. It keeps us safe. You know, it's the beliefs we get from our parents, our schools and our society. This is what you do. These are the rules.
Yeah.
One of mine happened to be that I needed to be quiet.
Yeah.
So they will serve you to survive for childhood, but they then become roadblocks when you're adult. And so the GPS is the way I used to really get your navigation back on track. The G is to go deep. Go to the challenge, the core of the challenge. What's going on for you? Or go to the heart of the matter. What are you feeling? What is going on here? What are the thoughts that are running through your head? The self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? Get really clear and go to the heart of the matter. That's the G. Go deep.
Yeah.
And the P are your parachutes. The parachutes are the people who will lift you up. And I was very lucky at a young age that I had so many parachutes around me that I could turn to and get me out of that turmoil that I had. And so when people come to me, it's like, who can help you? What can help you? And one of the things, like a internal parachute, is your self-talk. So I help people get that back on track. And the S is strategies. Put in place strategies to keep you on track.
Simple plans.
Absolutely.
Simple plans, and simple, achievable plans, I suppose, to get yourself.
So the book is all about that. Get you back on track.
And it's all about that. And when you wrote it, was it a kind of a cleansing experience for you? Was it a bit cathartic? My
husband's been saying for 13 years, that's when that happened in the hospital, you need to write a book. And I thought, I don't want to write a book just about my experience. There needs to be something in here that people can use, that can be relatable. And so the GPS is for anybody can relate to it. And so when I wrote it, it took me 6 weeks to write it. Once I started, it was just head down.
Wow, 6 weeks isn't very long.
It's not very long, 13 weeks to think about it and 6 weeks to do it. But it was good to get it out there, get it in, get it all, I suppose, in a system where people could use it.
Yeah, and who should be reading this book now, do you think? I mean, because I suppose a lot of women, I know myself, sometimes I'll be thinking, should I be listening to my gut instinct? What am I doing with my life? Sometimes we have this like a minor midlife crisis. Is it for aimed at older people maybe, like myself?
If you're asking the questions, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What should I be doing? What is my purpose? Do I have a purpose?
Yeah.
If those questions are going through your head, it's a good idea to actually look within, use the GPS and get clarity on what really matters for you and where you need to go. So anyone who may be having questions about what they're doing in life really should have a look at this, be it in relationships or anything else. Yeah, absolutely. Relationships are making changes in careers. Yeah. Women who've been maybe at home with kids for a while and they're looking to go back into the workforce. Where can we get our hands on this, most importantly, now? And are you doing any talks around the place? Because I know you're quite adept at the public speaking now, despite your several years of being very, very quiet. I hated public speaking before all this. I know, you're great at it now. Well, I got back into it. I had to be seen and heard. Yeah. Amazon. It's been sold through Amazon. And yes, I'm doing lots of talks around the place. And I have a workshop in the Clayton Hotel, how to discover your innerGPS. And when will that be? 28th of October. And if people want to come along to that? Eventbrite. They can just pop on Eventbrite. Okay, It'd be great. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Elaine. It's been an absolute pleasure now.